This is a Fox News alert just in now. Pentagon officials say U.S. warplanes intercepted a pair of nuclear-capable Russian bombers yesterday as they flew near Alaska. The North American Aerospace Defense Command says the Russian formation never entered U.S. or Russian airspace in that area. It's the second time this month a pair of Russian bombers has flown near Alaska.
$300,000 personnel, 36,000 tanks and other vehicles, 1,000 aircraft, 80 ships and supply vessels. That's the size of Vostok 2018, according to Russia's defense ministry. Even if there might be some exaggeration there, these drills are still huge, the largest since 1981. Vladimir Putin flew in to watch at the Sugol firing range, near where the Russian, Chinese and Mongolian borders meet. Soldiers and hardware from all three countries are taking part.
I
want to express special gratitude to the soldiers of the People's Republic of China and Mongolia. Our duty to Russia, I'm referring now to Russian servicemen, our duty to the homeland is to be ready to defend the sovereignty, the security and the national interests of our country.
It's a huge show of force from the modernized Russian military, boosted by increased funding and the crucial battle experience it's gained in Syria. The Chinese involvement in Russia's drills has raised particular concerns in the West. It's a sign the two Eurasian powers are overcoming historical animosities to forge a strengthening partnership.
They want to show that if the United States asserts itself in the Korean Peninsula, if they move against Iran, that they're likely to come up against a unified front between Beijing and Russia. So it's really about showing solidarity and showing that there's an alignment of interests.
Putin said Russia is a peace-loving state that does not and cannot have aggressive plans, but NATO has condemned the drills as rehearsal for a large-scale conflict. The North Atlantic Alliance has also been testing capabilities. British, French and German jets simulated flight interceptions over Western Europe on Wednesday to deter Russian planes from entering NATO airspace. Russia and the West haven't seemed quite so hostile since the Cold War.
Biggest exercises since the Cold War, and China's involvement as well.
Yeah, and those two headlines really go side by side. Let's start with what's going on here. Why the biggest? Why do you have to go back to Ronald Reagan in 1981 when the Cold War was top of his priority list? Why do you have to go back to that to find anything even remotely similar? Well, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to know that relations have been slightly sour lately between Vladimir Putin's Russia and Europe and the U.S. And they really took that sort of tailspin, I'd say, after the annexation of Crimea. Russia's aggression in eastern Ukraine. All of these have added up to a sense that a lot of wariness, a lot of distrust about the other's motives. Vladimir Putin has looked very warily at what he perceives as NATO's aggressive buildup on its Eastern European flank, what you noticed, talked about. And it's true that NATO has deployed more troops, more equipment to Poland, to the Baltic states, in a bid to perhaps have a shield against what it sees as more Russian aggression. Vladimir Putin, basically, with these exercises, he is responding. He's basically responding with defiance. He is showing, we see your threat, what he perceives as a threat, and we up your ante a little bit. We are ready to see down any potential threat to us. Now, let's be clear. Moscow denies, despite what you said, 300,000 Russian troops. That's a third of Russia's available army, okay? All of those tens of thousands of armored tanks. Russia denies these exercises are to prepare for any large-scale conflict. But what they do say is they are a reflection and coming amid a time of they're a part of the international climate, the tension right now, at a time when they say they are frequently the targets of aggressiveness, where the West is being unfriendly towards Russia as Russia sees it. So it is a show of force. And as one of the Russian General Army Chief of Staff says, it's going to include massive airstrikes, cruise missile training, defensive and offensive operations, raids, bypass operations. It's going to include all of the things you associate normally with if you were to have to fend off a large-scale military conflict or operation.